I'm pretty sure book people are like Pokemon. You find them in the wild, you capture them, and then you can source what type of book people they are. Hello and welcome to Bibliophage, a Pleasant Phantom production. I'm Gwenna Lakeland. I'm joined by Tori Phantom. Today you're going to need to be a little peckish and thirsty for some tea because we're snacking on Book Lovers by Emily Henry.
I am peckish, actually, now that you mention it.
So book people, I feel, are like Pokemon because in my head, categorize book people. I am not saying that.
Wait, you're telling me that you categorize things? Tell me that you have really fun names for all the categories too.
I do.
Knew it.
So
all
yes,
right, let's hear about the Indigo League of book people.
Indigo. All right, so it's like a collection. Okay, this is a yes and situation. So in my head, you do not have to, you're not stuck in one category forever.
Right, you're filling your Pokedex.
Yeah. There's evolutions possible. So you may start as one and then you become another and then you can
need a
de-evolve.
Firestone.
Correct. And the boundaries are super fluid. So again, these are my categories and do not necessarily reflect what anyone else has to feel.
You picked just the right analogy for me.
I didn't realize I was triggering a special interest here. Okay, so the first category is the book enjoyer. These are casual readers. They read in their downtime or in long waits, like airplanes, airports. Those are really common places. They don't necessarily have a to-be-read list. Mm-hmm. They typically choose books by cover vibes, bookseller recommendations, whatever's on the bestseller shelf, like the book they heard most recently on some big hype place, like the news or something. That's the one they pick, and they enjoy it and they read it, and
there's usually a reason it's on the news if it's on the news. Right. Yeah,
but they're just book enjoyers. They don't spend a lot of time thinking about books.
It's casual.
Yeah. It's a casual affair with books. Mm-hmm. After that, we have book enthusiasts.
Okay.
Now, these are the hobby readers. They do dedicate time specifically to reading every week, maybe even every day, but it's maybe not a whole lot. But like they definitely read a couple pages before bed or set aside a whole 2 hours of just them and a book and a snack. They do have a to-be-read list. They have favorite authors and they know their preferred genre. Now, that being said, we're going to sidebar right here on genre preference. Having a preferred genre does not mean you only read that genre. I'm going to say it again. Having a preferred genre does not mean you only read that genre.
Yeah.
I have a preferred genre of romantasy. That does not mean I only read romantasy.
My preferred genres change over time. Currently,
Correct.
You're not going to believe this. It's historical nonfiction.
Correct. But I am currently in romantasy. But I'm also sensing the end of romantasy being my preferred genre. I'm actually starting to scoot back into romance. And I say back, not that it's a step back, but I went from romance as my preferred genre to romantasy as my preferred genre. Now I'm rolling backward to romance again.
Are you rolling back? Does that mean you figured out how the winged people cuddle?
I did not figure out how the winged people cuddle,
and
that's 90% of the reason I cannot get into romantasy anymore because there's so many cuddle questions I keep developing, like centaurs.
Oh.
Centaur cuddling feels impossible. It's front to front. There is no spooning if you're a centaur.
I feel can they curl up like a cat, do a little loaf situation?
Horse loaf is a thing. Anyway, book
Google horse
enthusiasts have favorite authors and they know their preferred genre. And they may read multiple genres, but book enthusiasts are most likely to really commit to their preferred genre. They are less likely to wander out of their
So
preferred
they have
genre.
a favorite Pokemon game.
They do.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Up next is book lovers.
All right.
Okay. These are the dedicated readers. They use every spare moment to read. So if they've got downtime, they're in a book. If they can multitask, they may be multitasking the books with audiobooks, or, you know, they can hop back and forth between task and book, task and book, task and book, because it's a work some, wait some kind of job that they're having to do.
Yeah.
They do have a to be read list, and it is curated, meaning they have, at Christmas time, I want to read this one, or if I'm super sad, I want to read this one, or, you know, because of this particular thing, I'm going to read a bunch of books like this. So they have a wide ranging to be read list, and it's very curated. They, the book lovers, are the ones who plan vacations around book signings or lit cons or appearances of their favorite authors. They are most likely to be in and in charge of book clubs, and they definitely follow several of the next levels in inamораtas, and goblins, which I'll describe in just a sec.
I just have a feeling I'm going to be a goblin here, but let's go.
You are not yet. You are. Yeah, you're not.
Okay.
I am sorry to say that you are a book lover.
Well, I will determine this when we are done with our categories.
You may be in now with this podcast being on, you may be in an amorata. Okay. In the middle of this is a little subsection called the book hoarders. The book hoarders are the physical books and accessories are as important to you as the stories they contain or describe. Book hoarders are the type of people who buy multiple editions for the edges, the
I'm
covers.
apparently also a book hoarder. I have so
the
many
fresh
copies of
forward
so
written
many
by
books.
someone new. Book merch is life and death for you. For a lot of people, our generation, our sexual awakenings came from 1999's classic movie, The Mummy. For you, your sexual awakening came much earlier when you first watched the library scene in Beauty and the Beast. That did things to you that you didn't quite understand, and it would take you a lot of years to unpack. Okay. You know,
I'm going to be pondering this for way too long. I'm going to go watch that scene again.
You know what the load capacity of a wall stud is, and have strong opinions on wall anchor varieties because you hang so many bookshelves. Like I said, this is a yes and situation. So you may be a book lover
be
with
like
a
a Venn
touch, with a
diagram.
sprinkle of book hoarder in there.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
next up is book inamorata. These are literally career readers. They build their schedule around reading. If you are going out to have coffee with a book inamorata, they put their book down to join you there. And it is probably on their person somewhere, in their headphones, in their Kindle, in their bookish bag that's covered in book pins. It's there. They didn't leave the house with it. They just stopped reading it to hang out with you for a sec. They likely post book reviews as content. Could be video, could be written, could be Goodreads, could be Tome. That is what they do for social media content, is posting book reviews or posting tips on how to get advanced reader copies, or interacting with the author community, the reading community. That's their content stream.
I find that the best way to get like an advanced reader copy is to be best friends with an author. It works really well for me.
And then sometimes you get books that haven't even been edited. Hey, read this. There's an entire paragraph missing. Yeah, you're fine. You got it.
Yeah, it's good. I don't want to hear about my punctuation. Shut up. Read the story.
Book inamoratas are or have been on author promotion teams, and they regularly and routinely apply for advanced reader copies, advanced listening copies, or beta reader openings.
So you are all of them, yes, except for...
No, there's one final category.
Okay.
The book goblin.
Okay.
The book goblin.
I'm going to be really mad if you're a goblin and I'm not. It just seems unfair.
I'm sorry. The book goblin is the final form of readers
Okay.
who love books so hard they actually become the makers and or keepers of books. This could be fanfic writers, Wattpad writers, short story bloggers, independent authors, traditionally published authors, librarians, booksellers, editors, agents, bookbinders, or author support roles like marketing or literary assistants.
I at least have goblin energy, thank you. That's all I needed.
You do. You're so close. You are. You're dangling your feet over the ledge.
I
of
am
goblin
author and TikTok sensation Gwen Lathan's #1 fan.
You're on a Book Goblins podcast.
Yeah,
as a co-host. So
I have the goblin energy.
Goblin energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did have a short story published when I was like 15. So that counts for something.
If you feel because this is self-identification, we accept your
I mean,
own.
I have a hard copy of it on my bookshelf. So
yeah, no, I think that qualifies you as book goblin.
Yeah.
But you're not an Emirata. Sorry. I don't think you're a hoarder. So
I do think I am a hoarder. I think I'm a book lover hoarder with goblin energy. Yeah. I literally just never, before I logged on to do this podcast with you, when I was doing my makeup, do you know what I do when I'm doing my makeup? Do you know what I do when I'm cooking?
You listen to books.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stopped your book to be here.
I did. I was kind of annoyed about it. Not because I didn't want to be here, but because it was a really interesting part of the book, you know.
Listen, that's book lover territory, all right? Now, again, all of these things can evolve. Okay, you can end up whatever EV form you prefer.
And I think it's phases of life, right? Like we've talked about this with you had to really take a pause from reading for a time in your life.
I just beat the crap out of my microphone.
Just a hilarious face you made, like you jumped at your own microphone.
I scared myself.
Relatable. I know you've talked about how you had to kind of take the step back from the way that you loved books. And that's a thing that I have also gone forward and back with in my life, depending on what's going on and the time that I have. But I have a library everywhere I go. I keep a little library in my car. When I used to work in a cubicle, I had a filing cabinet full of books. And whenever anyone wanted a book, they would come and check out my library. Over the last couple of years, I didn't have as much time, but now I'm back into it. So, yeah I think it is. You can kind of go through these categories.
Well, and my publisher says I'm not allowed to overshare, but I have an essay about this in my upcoming book, Thinky Thoughts, about why my relationship has always been push-pull with reading. It never went away, but there are times that it was so far away, I was almost capable of forgetting that I am a reader. Yeah. Like that is a personality trait of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there were times that so many other things required my attention that when I had to sit there and slice up the Gwenna pie for how much each of these responsibilities and priorities was owed, there was nothing left to give.
Yes. And I think, reading. Years ago, before audiobooks were so accessible.
Yes.
It really made a difference as to whether you could prioritize it. And still to this day, not everyone can focus in on audiobooks.
I will defend, like, the hill I will die on is audiobooks or reading. Comic books are 100%. Reading. Graphic books are reading.
Yeah.
It's 100% reading. However, I cannot read graphic novels. You will never, I did once upon a time say I will never have a book on. I will not be the one talking about a graphic novel or a manga, not because I have any problem with it, but because it is so visually overstimulating. I can't make it through the story. My eyeballs are like, look at this, 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 look at this. I never get to actually processing what I am seeing in the story is being told.
Right. Well, that was, you remember for the last year or two, I was so hesitant to try audiobooks. And it is something I still struggle with because my mind wanders. So for me,
you have to learn how to do it. You had to learn how to read. You have to learn to read too.
Yes. And that's, I have learned for me with audiobooks, I cannot just listen, I have to be actively doing something that's keeping my hands busy.
Yeah.
So I love what I'm doing, chores or doing makeup or cooking. But when I'm cooking, I do end up having to yell at someone, can you take this out of my pocket and hit the bookmark thing? I need to write notes on that later. Can you bookmark that? I have chicken goop on my hands. Could someone bookmark this for me?
We're going to get you a little stylus. It's fine. You can have your meat stylus. You know how you have the different cutting boards that you use for chicken, you use for beef.
Yeah.
We'll just get you some stylus. So the red one is your beef stylus.
Gotcha.
So if you're using, you can. I don't think that's sanitary.
I don't think so either.
It was an idea. So yeah, but as far as my definitions of, they don't have to match yours. If you think that that is silliness, great, fantastic.
And I think it's really important to note that there was no judgment in what level you end up in. No. They're all good things because you're all reading.
They're all good things. They're all, I support you. Listen, I definitely know some book enthusiasts have picked up my book and went, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, to bring it back to Pokemon. If you collect Pokemon cards, but you don't play the Pokemon card game,
you're still valid.
You still have Pokemon cards. You still like Pokemon. If you if you play Pokemon Snap and you don't like to play Pokemon Crystal, whatever, I don't know the new ones. Okay, I really like Pokemon Red. That still counts. You're still playing Pokemon. It's the same thing.
I skipped from lover to goblin. I never accomplished book hoarder, although I do have a larger collection of books than I ever have had in my life.
I've always had a wild collection of books. That's why I was like, no, I think I'm a hoarder here. You have not seen all of my shelves that overflow.
I went from lover to goblin, and I skipped Inamorata entirely. I've never been the closest I've ever been to becoming a book Inamorata was starting Bibliophage. That's the closest I've ever gotten. So it's not linear. It's made up. It's imaginary. You don't have to agree. But let me know in the comments, what of my definitions do you think you are? If you're watching it, I'm going to flash up on the screen while I finish up this last little bit, all of the various types of book lovers, of book people, book Pokemon. I can't actually call you book Pokemon because they'll come for me. I don't have Niantic money. I have a confession. Okay. Moving on to the next segment of the the smooth transition, so no one knows that I have this chunked out into segments. That was a Tori style segue.
That was so not smooth, but it was cute. So
it's just the fluffy ponytails doing it. That's all. That's all that's making it cute. So I judge books by their cover.
Same.
I grew up being screamed at, don't judge books by their covers. I got to be an adult. I'm like, why? Yeah. You can tell a lot.
Because different covers speak to different people. There's probably a reason you are probably in the target audience if that cover is speaking to you.
Yes. Yeah. If you put a flower and a skull somewhere on your cover, I'm probably going to pick it up first. It's so dumb, but the bones and floral motif will get me every time.
When I am reading things that aren't historical nonfiction, I'm looking for things that tell me this is going to be a really depressing story. I want it to hurt.
It hurts so good. So yeah, I just discovered Emily Henry, who has been a bastion in the rom-com arena for a hot second. She's popular. I just discovered her. I was aware, but I looked at her books and I admit I did the not for me, which is no judgment on the books themselves. But Tori, ask me why I was aware but avoided Emily Henry.
Why were you aware but avoided Emily Henry?
Because I hated the covers. I hated this style of cover. Now, that being said, if you love that style of cover, I understand. If you've never seen an Emily Henry book,
she has simplistic.
It is a flat, cartoonish illustration on her book with big letters, which I'm not bothered by the big letters. I do have some cover preferences that I will absolutely judge, and I may not pick your book up first. One of them was the flat Stanley looking mofos on the front and the neon colors. those are just a book turn off. It's not that I won't pick up the book. It's just, it's not going to be the first one that I'm pulled to. No gravitational pull.
You know what it reminds me of too is, and this is in no way a disparaging remark. This is just something that I'm noticing is that personally, like when I look at that cover, it says young adult novel to me. And I still read young adult novels as an adult. It's just mood reading, which we've discussed, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not in the mood for a young adult novel now, I don't believe this is a young adult novel.
For the record, this is not a young adult novel.
But as someone who...
This is an open door romance, for the record.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Again, it wasn't a disparaging remark, but if I didn't see that in the section of romance, right? If I was just like, if I saw that just sitting on a display,
at
I might
Walmart,
just assume...
where they don't really sort of clump them up in genres.
And that's... Maybe I would like it, even if it was young adult, but it's one of those things...
Right. What makes a cover attractive is subjective. Now, the boundary that I set around myself is just because I do not like the cover. I can look at all the covers that called to me first, but if none of those books actually hooked me, if I'm still sort of seeking for what I'm going to add to the TBR, then I have to pick up the book that wasn't first on my cover attractiveness list.
Right. Like,
because again,
I've read books that I love that I didn't love the cover of.
I don't like this cover very much. I still don't. Honestly, it's still not my preference.
I feel like this goes right back to where we started this episode of yes and.
Like
we can judge books by their covers. And we should have an open mind that if the cover doesn't speak to us, that it could still be one of the most incredible books. That doesn't necessarily mean that
what's underneath the cover is fully summed up by the cover.
Well, and it reminds me even like food, right? We eat with our eyes before we put the food in our mouth, right? And I feel it's the same thing. Yeah.
So, no, I still don't like this cover, but we are discussing this book on Bibliophage because I loved Book Lovers. So the cover is not the end all be all of my ability to judge a book. For the discourse of Bibliophage, we do not use clean or dirty. We use open door, closed door, and cozy. Open door meaning the act of sex is described on the page in some fashion. Sexual acts are described and genitalia is described. Closed door means it is intimated that sex is going on, but is not necessarily being described on the page. There may be kissing, petting, and heavy cuddling, but actual sexy parts not happening.
So it's like the difference between like a movie and then like a network TV show in the way that... Okay.
And then there's cozy, which is no intimation of sex is being had. If it is so vague, they might have just watched a movie and you legitimately can't tell if they got up to something.
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13. And that's what I call cozy. And anything below that is just, it's cozy. We don't use clean terminology because that intimates that anything having to do with sex
is bad or dirty.
Is bad. It's dirty.
Yeah, and
that's not true.
And we're not in the camp here where we shame that type of book.
No.
So pretty sure we've both read plenty of it.
Plenty of it. Yeah. So open door, closed door, cozy. Those are the descriptions we're using for how much content is being described about sex or sexual acts.
I'm going to start sourcing you anytime I need category names for things.
I name everything. I was insufferable when I was 13 and given a label maker.
I'm going to send you a label maker so you can do that again.
Do you want me to send you some stuff?
No.
I can label it for you.
I'm so good.
Need socks? All right, let's discuss Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Here's what's on the menu. One summer, two rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. Nora Stevens' life is books. She's read them all, and she is not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent. Oh, and her beloved little sister, Libby. Which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small-town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics and meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute, if not for the fact that they've met many times, and it's never been cute. If Nora knows she's not an ideal heroine, Charlie knows he's nobody's hero. But as they are thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel the carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. So, this is going to be a harder sell for you. I can already tell, because romance is not your preferred genre.
No.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
For those of you who do love romance, this is what I would call a grumpy, slightly cloudy day. There is a common trope of grumpy sunshine, where one is effervescent and bubbly and loves life and just kind of pulls like this Oscar the Grouch shadow of darkness here against my will character along with them.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl?
No, not necessarily. Could be very quippy, quirky, could be very straight-laced, just very positive. This is not a grumpy sunshine. This is a grumpy, slightly cloudy day, because Charlie is brighter than Nora. Nora is very...
I feel like that's typically the opposite when we talk about characterization. It is usually the female character who is casted as the bright, positive one.
I would say yes, as far as 90s romance.
Which is kind of, that's my...
Yeah, as we got into 2000s and beyond, we really started seeing authors being braver about representing the gender divide, the gender spectrum. That's the better term. The gender spectrum more efficiently and a little more equilaterally.
I might be more willing to read some romance, because I think that's like, that was kind of what turned me off to it.
Now, that being said, because of how readerships work, a lot of times we do still enjoy the demure, tiny, small girl. But a lot of times she's also now a complete badass who, I am no man, I need no man, bitch. Yeah, she's this big, but she can kill you. So there's that.
Women.
And yeah, we do have a lot more stories available to us where if we've got a grumpy sunshine, sometimes it is the female or the female presenting character who is the grumpy, and it's the male character. And we also have a massive amount of queer representation where we have two females. One is grumpy, one is sunshine. Two males, one is grumpy, one is sunshine.
Is the grumpy sunshine, is that like a recognized term, or is that a Gwenna category?
That is a recognized term.
Okay.
Which that is a very valid question.
Yeah.
Grumpy sunshine is one of the recognized tropes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Also, yeah, I love tropes. Honestly, I do too. Like, then I know what to expect. Like, sometimes I don't want the surprises. Sometimes it's cozy. Tropes are so cozy.
Well, and I definitely have... I wrote a Substack about there's nothing new under the sun. And that is true. Every forbidden love story is basically just a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, which is a retelling of several stories older than that.
Well, it's anyone who plays guitar has accidentally wrote Free Falling.
Yeah. And Wonderwall.
Yeah. Like, there's only so many chords, you know? Yeah. You can't reinvent it. You just you play it a different way.
There's nothing new under the sun, but there are a million ways to examine everything the sun touches.
I want that on a t-shirt.
Another existing trope, not a Gwennaism, is another existing trope is one bed, two people. Love it. It's called forced proximity, and I will eat it up every time.
Can you elaborate?
So that would be, we have been riding and running from the enemy all day. We're sweaty, we're tired, we're hot, and the inn only has one bed. Oh no, we've been trapped in a cave and it's freezing, and if we don't huddle together, we'll die of hypothermia, but we hate each other.
I'm laughing because we've been riding through this horrible time and there's only one bed at the inn. Literally John Adams and Ben Franklin, but they did not have fun together. They did not like each other at all after that night.
There was a forced proximity in Found It.
Many times, actually, but the John Adams
And they
Franklin,
were roommates.
They were roommates, but those two did not like each other, I'll tell you that.
So yeah, forced proximity is my preferred trope. It will get me every time. Every single time. Found family, another recognized trope, will get me every time. That's yeah.
Right.
I'm reading an Abby Waxman right now, and it's found family. Love it, adore it, gobble it up.
I love the name Abby Waxman. Like, that's just so, like, I like the way that sounds.
Abby Waxman wrote The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, which was fantastic. I loved it. And the follow-up to that book was Adult Assembly Required. And I also have really thoroughly enjoyed that book.
Huh.
Actually, just technically finished it, but Book Lovers is one of the books that it hit a nerve for me, the good kind.
Okay.
Okay, so Nora is the main character, and she is... Oh, hang on. Let's put in the spoiler alert. So Nora is the main character, and she is a literary agent, and she is working with an author, who the author is a tertiary character, doesn't really come into the story a lot, though is a part of the story.
Helps
but
to
is
move
more,
the plot along.
yeah, it's a plot device more than a character, this author is. But this author suffers from the worst case of imposter syndrome. Needs constant validation, encouragement, and guidance, even though she does not.
That
She
book just
writes
called
perfectly
you
well.
out.
That's why it was so comforting.
So when you're reading a book and you're like, you don't have to be so loud about it.
No, like, I get it. Emily, stop. You're hurting my feelings.
How did you get in my head?
Which also for me, it did make me wonder, and this is a question. I am in no way making an accusation or stating this broadly, but it makes me wonder, is that what Emily feels like? I bet. I wonder if that's what Emily feels like when she's talking with her agent. Is she a wildly successful romance author? Every time she's submitting these manuscripts going, this is it. This is the end of my career. They're going to laugh me out of the publishing industry because this is absolute drivel. Who wants to fucking read this? Why do I do this? You've hit the New York Times bestseller list. Nuh-uh.
No, I don't think I did. I think that was a misprint.
No, you're
not
lying.
me.
Shut up. That's just cruel. Like, it makes me wonder. Did that little tertiary part of the book, did that represent how Emily feels? Because if so, mood, babe, I get it.
Yeah,
I see you.
You're like, is it also you?
So yeah, because it's definitely me.
Yeah.
You described me.
You
in
described
your
me,
book.
but does this mean that we have something in common? Do you want to be
besties
author
right
friends?
now?
Yeah.
Is this how me and Emily Henry become besties?
I feel replaced.
Parasocial relationships. I really, really connected with that tiny little bit. It's not even the main part of the story, for the record. It's not.
But I love in a book when there is a little part that isn't meant to pull your attention as much, but that's the part where you're like, I feel seen.
I feel in this book. I am in this story.
Yeah.
And while I'm not super proud to be in this part of the story, like the fact that someone else could even imagine these feelings, these sensations is comforting to me because I can't.
That's why
if
I like
someone can
depressing
imagine
books.
it. For me, this one was entertaining, enlightening, and escapist. I definitely got pulled in.
Yeah.
This story definitely sucked me in and would not let me go. It was enlightening because I did learn a couple things about myself. So there was no education for me in this one. However, I will say that if you are a baby book goblin, there might be some educational stuff in there because some of the stuff that Emily included about Nora's work as an agent, Charlie's work as an editor, and bits of the publishing process are not that incorrect. They're not wrong.
Right.
There may be, everyone's experience in the publishing industry is individual and unique. Again, no group is a monolith. But a lot of what Emily wrote about the publishing process from both the agent and the editor,
it's like some real insight that you can only know when you've been in it.
Insider info kind of things.
Yeah.
Again, fiction, grain of salt, but not that surreal. Truly. one of the things that caught me about this particular book was the self-awareness. Another spoiler alert. Nora's little sister, Libby, has this small town checklist of things she wants Nora to accomplish while they're in this tiny little coastal town. Okay, it's an adorable tiny little coastal town. It is an idyllic, adorable little coastal town.
Yeah.
And Emily is fully aware because it's only idyllic to Libby, who has this list and this Hallmarkian level of expectation. And I love that Emily was so incredibly self-aware that first she pokes fun at the lifetime lovers, at the Hallmark happy endings, at the eternal optimism of small town romance.
Yeah.
There's always this, everything is perfect, and look, there's a orchard, and the bookstore is saved at the end, and the coffee shop is not at all struggling because the old men just want to drink Folgers, and what do you mean I have to learn espresso? Like, I live in a small town.
I also live in the small town, and I feel like those tropes of like the Hallmarkian tropes, it's like looking at these small towns through a vignette of that kind of
Norman
filter
Rockwell.
where it's like if you can suspend the reality of the things happening in the town or the things that people in the town are struggling with.
Yeah.
What a cute, quaint little town.
Yeah.
Oh my
Honestly, in reality, most small towns are less Norman Rockwell, more Norman Bates. But here's the thing, is I will say this. I read small town romance all the dang time. Even though I live in a small town, I go, no, it would never work like that. No, where's the random guy peeing on a bush?
It can also be kind of fun to imagine that it's like a thing your small town could be.
Right. No, but reading can be escapist.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to read the idealized versions of things, even though we know logically small towns like this don't exist. This is too simple a palette to create any sort of community in where humans who are flawed and human coexist together. Nothing is going to run this smoothly. And that is why it is so vital that these books exist, because we can look at our own messed up, fucked up reality and take a break for a goddamn minute and go read about an ideal, small, charming little town with a coffee shop that's not struggling and a bookshop that's perfectly stocked and no racism and no misogyny and no Donald Trumps and no stupid assholes taking people's healthcare away for no reason.
Man, that was
Sometimes
nice.
we want ideal books for that.
That does sound nice.
Right? We make up dragons. Cool. We make up planets. Cool. We make up wars, crimes, kingdoms, magical systems. Cool. We can make up a town where the biggest problem is there won't be enough hot cocoa for Christmas. One of the things that Hemily? I really just portmanteaued that poor woman's name.
That's when she goes from author to seamstress.
Emily's dialogue is the best in the market, I think. It is. Emily Henry writes the most delicious banter.
Oh, yeah.
I adore the way characters speak to each other. As a writer,
I like when I read fiction, that is something that can pull me out of it, is if a conversation is kind of clunky, if it doesn't flow.
Well, so here's what I will say. There are a bunch of really good ways to write dialogue. As a writer, I love dialogue. I love writing dialogue. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
All of my books are witty, bantery character interactions.
Yeah.
Because I love writing that way and I love reading that way. Now, what I struggle with is something that Emily Henry does not at all struggle with. It's called interiority, which I can banter all day long, but I have to describe having a deep thought. I have to figure out the sensations of having the feeling of having your stomach drop without actually needing to say that your stomach dropped. Emily Henry writes really good interiority and really good dialogue. And there's more than one way to do it. John Scalzi, who we talked about last week, he has very bantery dialogue, but he has what I call Wimbledon dialogue. So it's like watching a tennis match. Words, he said. Replies, she said. Quit, he said. Disengages, she walks away. So the reader are just going back and forth between the people speaking. And it's still
it's like where you're not even reading the words he said, she said. It's
Right.
just, those are there to, like, it's like a signal to your brain. You don't have to read them. It's just the conversation is happening in your head now.
Right. Henry writes more in the same style that I do, whereas words, a little bit of exposition of some body motion. She took a sip of her tea. Words, little sly description of the face right there. That's how she writes her dialogue, and I like it both ways, but Henry's is more the descriptive. A dialogue is not just the words being said, it's also the micro expressions, it's the body language,
It's the thoughts you're
position.
having when you're deciding what to say next.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, though,
things
as well, because when we talked about the Kaiju Society versus book lovers, I think that the way dialogue is written is very much based on the style of book, because they wouldn't necessarily make sense. I haven't even read these books, but the way that you describe them to me, I don't know that if you flipped the way the dialogue is written, if it would make as much sense.
Well, see, what's fascinating is it completely depends on the style of the rest of them, because Abby Waxman, who I just talked about in the Bookish Life of Nina Hill, she has Wimbledon dialogue.
Yeah.
Witty, funny, in a rom-com. But the Wimbledon works. Emily Henry, I don't think would do Wimbledon as well.
Yeah.
Because she's got such great interiority.
You know, you find out what you figure that out and you play into it.
Right. It's a very bantery book.
I think you need to start a glossary for Bibliophage because there's like a lot of different terms that come up, and I feel like they're going to keep coming up. They do. No, they really do. But I feel like if you just had a glossary available for people so they could cross-reference if you said something 4 episodes ago. I'm going to start
just a little Bibliophage guidebook.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get the workbook out so I can listen to my podcast.
Let me get out my glossary so I can listen to the book podcast.
Because Gwenna can't quit naming shit. Okay, that's enough banter. I think we're done bantering. Let's move on to what's on the menu. Tori, what did you just finish?
I just finished John Adams' A Life by John Ferling.
Okay.
And I am currently reading Defiance of the Patriots, The Boston Tea Party and the Making of America by Benjamin L. Carp.
And up next, what book about the American Revolution are you intending to read?
The Radicalism of the American Revolution by Gordon S. Wood. But let me tell you, I've read...
Gordon S. Wood has been on your menu
seeing, I was literally going to
often.
say, you keep seeing Gordon S. Wood coming up. I really enjoy his books for kind of in-between biographies because they're typically more succinct, and we're focusing in on this aspect of the revolution, and instead of like a huge whole history that's going to be a 10,000 page book, which I read those too, but it's like the last one that I read was kind of an overview. I read another one by Gordon S. Wood that was Founding Brothers, that was more about the relationships between the founding fathers. And so the radicalism of the American Revolution, I'm like really excited to start reading.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
For me, I just finished reading Adult Assembly Required by Abby Waxman, which we referenced in this episode. I've moved on to The X-Hex by Aaron Sterling. And up next on Bibliophage, we are going to be doing Tori, are you ready? Are you excited? We're doing our first nonfiction book.
Is it
It's
American
not about
Revolution?
the American Revolution. No.
Just seems cruel.
It's called...
You're just going to hide from our listeners that I got you to start reading an American Revolution book, okay?
No, they're going to have to listen to the other dang podcast to hear about that. The whole podcast we do about the American Revolution called Founded, available everywhere you find your favorite podcast. There, I plugged your show. Shut up. Up next on Bibliophage is Consider the Fork by B. Wilson. It's one of my favorite. It's a narrative nonfiction, and we'll discuss that next week. So please, please, please remember to like, rate, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, do whatever it is you have to do to your app so it will tell you when new episodes of Bibliophage come out, which is every other Tuesday. If you have a book you'd like me to hear about, if you have an author you think should join us to talk about their favorite authors, or if you just want to say, hi, thanks for doing this, please email me at bibliophagepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Happy reading.